Welcome to week 4 of the Mama If It Pregnancy Week by Week What to Expect update. I am currently navigating my 4th pregnancy, so in addition to learning what you can expect throughout your pregnancy, how your baby is developing, I'm going to be sharing what is happening for me during my pregnancy as well. If you're pregnant at the same time as me or you're watching this video and you are the same week, be sure to comment below to let us know how you are feeling, how are you navigating this pregnancy, because we would love to connect with you on your journey.
So what to expect in week 4 of your pregnancy. So week 4, baby is still a little embryo and baby is like 3 different layers. So those 3 different layers are going to further develop the baby into different organs and different parts of the baby. It's like the neural tube. So like the brain, the spinal cord, and all of these things are starting to formulate in this 4th week. Baby is also attached to the yolk sac, which is providing it nutrients so that baby can start to grow and form all of those organs and limbs and all of the things that are important. The placenta is not yet fully developed, but it's starting to make its roots into that uterine lining so that the placenta can then start growing. Since the placenta is not yet fully formed, that yolk sac is providing all of that nutrients that eventually, once the placenta is fully formed, will provide all of those nutrients while also transporting waste for the baby. During this 4th week, you may not have any symptoms of pregnancy because baby's not fully there yet. That placenta isn't releasing all the hormones that give us all of those first trimester symptoms. So really the only thing that you might notice is either a positive pregnancy test or you might have missed your period. Those are probably the 2 things that are like, yeah, I might be pregnant. This could also be a great time to also make an appointment with your doctor to get a blood test to confirm the pregnancy again. If you are going to have any symptoms aside from those, you might feel bloated or constipated or even some breast soreness. And this is just from that increase in progesterone in our bodies from the baby, just kind of slowing things down to include our GI system. Now is the time that you can call your doctor and start making your prenatal appointments. And also, if you aren't already taking a prenatal vitamin, now it would be a great time to start.
For me, during this pregnancy, I'm using Needed's prenatal vitamins. For the first trimester, I'm going to be using their multivitamin powder because that's going to be a lot easier for me to take in with like smoothies or with juice, as opposed to trying to shove 8 pills down my throat and I already have a really sensitive gag reflex. Like the thought of consuming pills just sounds painful to me right now. So I'm going to be using their powdered version of their prenatal vitamin, which has a lot of really great components within it. So what I'm looking for in my prenatal vitamin is I want to make sure there's choline with it, which is really important for that neural tube development, in addition to folic acid or folate, which also is going to help with that neural tube development and making sure that it closes and that we don't have any sort of complications from that. In addition, choline is really important to fetal brain development. So they did some research that found that moms who took choline during their pregnancy, their babies were way smarter. I'm all about trying to have these advanced babies.
Must have smart babies.
So if you tell me that taking choline and eating eggs is going to make my baby smart, I'm going to do it. So choline is also really important to their brain development. And so that's something that's really important to ensure is in your prenatal vitamin. In addition, I'm looking for a prenatal vitamin that has vitamin B in it because that is potentially going to help me a little bit with morning sickness. And Needed has a really great form of it that's a lot more easily absorbed. So with my pregnancies, I found out really early that I was pregnant, like right around like the 4-week mark, because I was tracking my own cycle. And so I knew when I ovulated and then I can test like so many days after ovulation. Usually you can get like a super faint line around like day 8 or 9 past ovulation. But if you have to use like a filter to figure out whether or not there's a line there, I would just wait a few more days before testing again.
It may be hard.
I know. I kept testing every day though, and I was like, "Do you see a line?" And Roxanne would be like, "I see nothing." And I'm like, "Just be supportive."
I was not a good
Just be
lady.
supportive. All my other friends were like, "I put a filter on it, and I could see a line," and then it got darker. But if it's a super faint line and you have to put a filter on it, you could still be excited, but just wait a few days for it to get like obviously darker before you start like scheduling appointments and calling people. At this point in my pregnancy as well, even though it's super early, if it's your first pregnancy, you may not be thinking about this yet. You might just be in shock that you're pregnant. In the area that we live, we have limited providers that support home birth, which is what I'm wanting. So I was sure to contact my midwife as soon as possible. I think she might have known before my husband that I was pregnant because I wanted to make sure that I got on her book. So you can also start considering where you want to give birth, whether you want to give birth in a hospital, in an out-of-hospital setting, and starting to explore what your options are. Hopefully you kind of explored these a little bit before pregnancy so you had an idea of where you wanted to go. But if you didn't, you have time throughout your pregnancy to kind of figure out whether or not you want to work with this clinic or that clinic or which hospital you want to give birth in, or if you want to explore an out-of-hospital birth setting. And so this is a really good time to start exploring what these different options are. If you're not sure what's available to you, this is where contacting like a birth doula in your local area can be really beneficial. Even if you don't plan to hire them, it can still be nice to talk to them to just go over what their opinion is. I love it when folks contact me either Instagram or email, and I even have some folks that call me that have no intention of ever hiring me, but I want them to have a great birth experience, and so I'm really willing to give the information to them so that they can have an idea of what's available to them in their area. And I like to think that most doulas are going to be very open to that as well. If you are wanting to hire a birth doula or you're considering that option, you could start contacting doulas at this point as well to start interviewing them to see who you really vibe with. It can be really beneficial to build a relationship with your doula throughout your pregnancy as opposed to meeting them one time at your interview and then seeing them again at your birth. Hiring a doula earlier in your pregnancy can also be a great option to build a really strong relationship with them because they can provide tons of emotional support if they know you really well. So thank you for watching my update on the 4th week of my pregnancy, and hopefully you learned a little bit about what to expect for you during the 4th week of your pregnancy. Be sure to tune into the rest of our pregnancy update cycle so you have an idea of what to expect from week 4 all the way until you have a baby.